10 years ago, when I started doing business plan and business plan contest, business plan was an intellectual exercise of business knowledge, a lot of assumption, and a lot of dead trees. With the startup movement, the demand for credibility, evidence-based reasoning is a lot more apparent. The section I'm about to present is called prototyping. This is an optional section. You do not have to include it in your business plan, but if you're serious about turning your business plan into a real business, this is the time to invest a little bit more time and energy. Prototype is a combination of two words, pretend and prototype, and it is a book written by my good friend Alberto Silvio at Google. In the book, he described very, very powerful ideas about why business fails, why people waste their life, because people don't properly test their idea before scaling up, spending time building the product, advertising. So Alberto's entire idea is about creating a simple model to test the interaction with the customer, to gain insight, to find out if this is the right idea to throw money into or not. The purpose is to get customer feedback, and not just as a mental exercise, but as a solid product. There are 6 different concepts in here. We will go through them one by one. As I said, this is an optional process. If you want to go purely as an intellectual exercise, it's okay to skip this, but without even some data, it's going to be very difficult for the business plan to be believed. Let's get started. This is fun. The book is freely available in English, and I was fortunate enough to be the translation coordinator for the Chinese version, both simplified and traditional. So I will make the link available to people who want it. Alberto listed 6 prototyping strategies. They are Mechanical Turk, Pinocchio, Fake Doors, MVP, Pretend to Own, and Relabeling. The first strategy is Mechanical Turk. This is thus named because it is a machine pretend to do human equivalent work. The name came from the story of an amazing contraption. It was, as you can see on the screen, it is reputed to be a robotic chess player that can play chess against beginning and intermediate players. This was a huge craze during European, I think 1500. And before the show, they will open up the box to see there's all kind of gear, lever, pulleys inside. But secretly, there's a compartment hiding a chess player of diminutive size, and he was actually controlling the apparatus. It's not a robot, it's just a very sophisticated puppet. This is interesting because IBM in the 1970s, they wanted to decide if they should pursue speech to text technology, also known as speech recognition. But in the 1970s, computer has very little computing power. It was horribly expensive. If IBM wanted to go into this technology, they would have to bet the company. It was a huge investment. And IBM had all these corporate customers that, oh, we would love to have this technology. This is something we really want. But IBM was not sanguine to devote this much resource to a project like this. So what they did was they invited a lot of customers who said they were willing to pay for it to come to test their prototype. When the customer arrived, there was a computer monitor, there was a computer box, a speaker, but no keyboard. As the customer started speaking into the microphone, perfectly dictated words would start showing up on the screen. And the customer was just absolutely amazed because this was very futuristic technology in the 1970s when typewriter was barely popular. After a day of using this amazing device, most of the customer chose not to buy the product. Surprise. Why? Well, it's actually very difficult to talk for the whole day, as I can attest. Second, if everybody in the office starts talking to the machine, it's going to be a very noisy environment. Third, you cannot create confidential document by speaking out loud, and the reason for it goes for so on and so on. This is a case where the customer thought they wanted something, but once they experience it, they realize they had these unintended consequences that was not aligned with the original concept. Now, did IBM invest a huge amount in building this prototype? No. IBM had a trained typist listening in via the microphone. As the customer was dictating, she was rapidly typing into the monitor. So in essence, this was a mechanical Turk. Human being doing stuff that's supposed to be done by computer to test the customer. This was not meant to be deceptive of the customer, but this was meant to test the customer's reaction to the actual product. So they pretended as if the computer is fully capable of recognizing voice when they're not. So a lot of time when you have this service where it's supposed to be computerized service, you can do a mechanical Turk to substitute the result, because customer really don't care if their tax return was calculated by computer, alien from outer space, or trained squirrel, as long as the number is correct. So you don't have to build prototype to test certain type of services. The second strategy is called Pinocchio. This is a little bit more with physical object. When Palm Pilot was being conceived, its inventor had already failed with a computer called GridPad. It was too large, so the problem they were trying to solve is what is the right size for a handheld computer. Now remember, this is back in the 1980s. No cell phone was still a brick. So the inventor of the Palm Pilot cut a square of wood and printed the different interface he wanted on the phone and taped it on a block of wood. And every time he would carry this block of wood in his pocket. He would take it out. He would jot notes on it as if it's actually working. He would look up people's phone number from the block as it was working. This was insane because it was a block of wood with a paper cover around it. But what this prototype showed that you are able to understand the interaction process without having the real object. And the extensive user interface, dimensionality, function placement tests this block of wood served for Palm Pilot was the reason to its wild success in the 80s and 90s. So sometimes your solution can be simulated by physical object that doesn't do anything. With some solution, this may be what you have to test out. I admit this will not be more. With web service, this is not as likely, but it's a strategy to keep in mind. The third strategy is fake door. Fake door is one of my personal favorite for a lot of services because it's simple, it's clear, and its testing is very unambiguous. If we take a look at the website Taste of Taiwan, every single page has one button: buy the product. If nobody knocked on that fake door button, we know what all the marketing stuff doesn't work. This is very similar to Google Analytics, where you keep track of which page gets viewed by user and which one doesn't. Fake door is very powerful because a lot of time you don't know what to perceive first. This is where you set up multiple fake door. Whichever door gets knocked on first will be the priority. One story I want to relate here is Dropbox. Dropbox is a file synchronization system, but it's not the fastest, it's not the most economical, it is also not the most powerful. Before they built it, Dropbox, the creator did something very interesting. He created a product use video showing how easy it was to use Dropbox. Everything was just 2 steps away. It was so easy. People followed the link at the end of the video and signed up for the service even before it launched. Sounds great, right? Except that this product wasn't even built. When the video was a complete fake, the team wanted to test if there was a market interest in this product and how extensive it is. Based on the number of people who view the video, a percentage of them signed up, and the percentage of sign up for a specific price plan, all based on a fake video of a product that doesn't exist. So fake door is a great way to test interest without investing a lot of energy. Imagine if they built $1 million Dropbox system, then test it, and there were no users. The result, it will be completely drastic and catastrophic. So fake door is a great way, and I really implore you to use that. We actually will have a separate section just on fake door. The fourth strategy is the minimal viable product. Certain concept cannot be tested without having the minimal viable product. This is the simplest form of the product. Something simply cannot be tested. That's just how it is. If you are in this category, I want to share a story. There's a startup company who wanted to dominate the internet forum software business. And they had this elaborate idea about what a forum should be. They built the system, and when they tried to persuade forum administrator to use it, they hated it. This is very early on, and they hated the software that this amazing team built. So very daunted, they went back to the drawing board. They said, okay, let's use this lean startup methodology. So their first forum product was one single text box. You can type stuff in, you can save it, but you can't edit it. This is, for us used to the rich technology of the internet, this sounds incredibly stupid. Who in the world would pay for a forum software that you can only create entry? Well, so from this minimal viable product, they started engaging forum administrator, and based on their feedback, they started building more features. So they had to have a minimally viable product to test their idea, and based on that, they started getting more feedback. But the main point is the minimal viable product have to directly touch on the problem you want to solve. The internet forum is all about posting messages. If their first product dealt with having avatar picture on their forum posting rather than having the forum post, they would have failed. So when you design a minimally viable product, you want to target in on a first attempt to solve the problem. The fifth strategy is related to the minimally viable product called pretend to own. Pretend to own is when you pretend you own the complete solution, when in fact you're only contributing the critical solution you're trying to solve. The example I want to give is Tesla Motor. Tesla Motor is a technology firm trying to push electrical vehicle in the premium sports car environment. Most business planner will say, okay, well, I got to prove I can build a sports car. So I got to invest all this money and energy to build the entire car. What Tesla did was interesting. They built the motor and the power system, which is what they were trying to prove. And they bought the car minus the motor and the power system from Lotus. So they pretend they own all of the solution when in fact they don't. This may sound a bit futuristic, but remember, the purpose of the prototype is to test the market response. It's not actually making the sales. A client of mine recently, we did a consultation. They want to get in branded cosmetic business, but they don't currently have the investment infrastructure, the factory, the chemical, or even have a lot of money to get a contract manufacturer in the pipeline. So they had an idea of how they want to brand a product, but they can't really test it. So working with me, we used the strategy of pretend to own. We purchased about $500 worth of cosmetic from another company, just regular bulk purchase. And we worked with a packaging contractor where they repackaged the content of the cosmetic under the client's branding idea. And the client was able to use this pretend they own the company product to test out supplier, distributor, and retail chains reaction. They know that was not going to be a problem because they know they can get contracted manufacturing to produce the exact same quality. They can basically ask a factory that produced for the cosmetic company to produce a private label for them. So that wasn't a problem. So using only $500 worth of material, they were able to conduct a branding test directly with the product that would run in excess of $40,000 because they didn't have to produce their own product. So that's a pretend to own is a very powerful tool when you can deploy it. And this is typically for physical things. For internet, it's a little bit more difficult, but you can also use a lot of pass-through. One software company I know, they tried to develop a portable recording system. They basically put a shell around Evernote and pretend they own the solution. Not a bad way to test the market. Remember, all these solutions are geared towards testing the market. You are not actually going to make money selling somebody else's product because the cost structure is too huge. So the whole concept is to test the market. The final concept, which is also related to pretend to own, is relabeling. This is the example I touched upon previously about how a cosmetic company took someone else's product and relabeled it as their own. This is very common in the manufacturing business where one company would manufacture the identical product for many companies, putting your own label on it. As a startup, you can absolutely take the same product, put your own label on it to test out your idea of marketing, of feature. This is a way for you to gain insight into the entire supply chain, because remember, the point of the prototype is to understand how the consumer will interact with this. If I want to create a premium instant noodle, I'm not going to spend $36,000 US to buy a instant noodle frying machine. I would do this. I would buy existing instant noodle, put it in a package, and add the different kind of flavor pack I want to create. I would pretend I own everything. I would relabel all the content to make a premium instant noodle. This is how I would test it. So relabeling existing products save you time, especially when you're competing against a very, very crowded market. What exactly do we test with a prototype? We can test many things with a prototype: user interface, feature function, expectation, but numerically we're testing for two things. First is the initial level of interest. This is very simple. Assuming we have a product as a lipstick for gay men, transvestite technically. So we have somehow obtained a list of 10,000 transvestite, and we send them direct mailing to see their interest. Of the 10,000 direct mailing that went out, 3% purchased the lipstick. So we know the initial level of interest is 3%. For a lot of business where all you need is one sales, like a car or a house, this is all you need. Your job is to find out, how do I get 3% interest up to 4%, 5%, 6%? This is your challenge. The second thing we're testing is called ongoing level of interest or repeat sales. Most business will rely on an ongoing level of recurring income to sustain themselves. I'm sharing with you Taste of Taiwan's data. It's a 5-month tracking. The Taste of Taiwan's product is a monthly subscription. And to get people started, we have a sampler pack. It's a 1-month subscription at a higher cost. But given the profit structure, we make the most money when they subscribe to a 3-month or a 6-month subscription, because the cost of acquiring the customer. Our model is we use Facebook ad to get customer into the website to experience this. So if you look at the chart, it's a 5-month tracking. The first month, we got 12 users, and the cost, we actually made a decent income. Was this, every subsequent month we get a drop off in initial purchase. And here's the really sad part. We actually never got anybody subscribed to a 3-month or 6-month package. So the prototype test, the fake website, but we actually sell the product, actually help us understand that either our product offering or our price is not attractive where people are willing to spend the money to go beyond the sampler pack. So this was a very inexpensive test. If we did not have this tool, we would have lined up, we would have gotten a warehouse, we would have lined up supplier, we would have negotiated a volume discount purchase from supplier. Because we now know that there's no recurring sales, we had to reformulate the business plan. So the prototype is very effective in helping us understand how do we get the initial level of interest and how do we get a recurring level of interest. So these are two things, if you're going to test your business plan on a small scale, you must be aware of. Let's talk about prototyping tools. If your business depends largely on a web service, I highly recommend Wix.com. This is a free website creation tool. You can drop and click easily. If you can use Microsoft Word to make a decent flyer, you can run this website, and it has really good quality graphic. Taste Taiwan is on Wix, and so is the class website. The second one is geared towards mobile app. There is a company that started in Taiwan called POP, Prototype on Paper, which is a very effective tool. You draw your user interface on a piece of paper. You take a picture with your smartphone, Android or iOS, and you can simulate and create an interactive mobile app on the phone. This lets you create a mobile app that doesn't really work, but user can play with it and play with the interface. This allows an experiential connection to the product, and this is where we are looking to. So if your solution involves a mobile app, please use POP to create the solution. If your solution involves a physical object, I highly recommend relabeling an existing product that's very similar to yours, but adding your own proprietary solution to simulate the critical difference. Or use 3D printing to create object, customized shelling to create a personalized interface for your product. Lastly, if your product is a service, the simplest way to test this is to use a brochure or a fake video like the Dropbox to simulate the benefit people get out from the service or how it works. This is a very cheap way. Any high quality smartphone will enable you to create this video. I want to spend a little bit more time on a fake door test because I strongly feel a fake door can help you test your model more efficiently, more quickly, initial level of interest, ongoing level of interest, so it's worth really spending time on this. First, creating a landing page. I have given you a list of 4 or 5 services that you can create a landing page. The purpose of landing page is a quick way to explain your project to people. Okay, so first create a landing page that offer your services, your benefit. Second, spread the news. Once you create this landing page, some service will promote it for you, but using the persona you conducted and created, you will know where your consumer are getting their information. Use the top 3 web section of your persona to spread the news. And third, make sure there's a call to action. Ask them to sign up with an email. You will let them know when the product is launched. Ask them to spread the news. And once you get the email, ask them, can I Skype you for a interview about the problem you're trying to solve with our product. This will gain you additional insight. Lastly, find out their price tolerance. Some of the website has what's called A/B testing. A/B testing is very simple. When you land on the page, the website will randomly put you into one of 2 or multiple web pages. This is where you can test a price like $12, $14, $15. So every time a person comes in, they will get different prices. And if they sign up if the sign up rate for a specific price is much higher than other, you may have a pretty good data on how much to set your price for. So the fake door is an amazingly effective tool, and it's just not for testing. If at your presentation you say, we have 5,000 customers signed up who want to use our product. Now I need you to give me some money so I can build a product and make the money. I already have customer waiting. That's very persuasive, evidence-based planning. Okay, so we probably will do a little more time on fake door later on because it's just an amazing tool. What is so special about your service? Let's talk about unique selling proposition or positioning statement. This is a very high level statement. It can also be used as a slogan to communicate why you are special. I'm going to give you a few very simple slogan that's also a positioning statement. Domino's Pizza in the United States anyway, you get fresh, hot pizza delivered to your door in 30 minutes or less, or it's free. It doesn't promise to be a good pizza, a tasty pizza. It doesn't guarantee to be a healthy pizza. What you do get is a hot pizza in 30 minutes or less. So their value proposition is very quick delivery and it's warm food. And another service is Papa John's, which is in the United States. They make the pizza for you, you pick it up, and you bake in your own oven. That's a different value proposition. And they're both solving the same problem, food. Okay. Another positioning statement is M&M, melts in your mouth, not in your hand. This is a very famous slogan. And their proposition, what is their value proposition? Their positioning is, this is a candy that will stick to your hand, which most candy bar, you have to eat it with the wrapper, or you have to be very careful. So that's their unique selling proposition. It's a technology also because it's a sugar coat. What would be the unique selling proposition of 7-Eleven in Taiwan? Because 7-Eleven in Taiwan is very different than 7-Eleven in Singapore, in the United States. 7-Eleven in Taiwan is more like an outlet for a gigantic service empire. And it has almost everything now. You can pick up product, drop stop, right? So the positioning statement of 7-Eleven would be what I think is everything, everywhere, and anytime. But this is something you got to come with. This is a way for you to quickly communicate your idea to the world. And the Taste of Taiwan, the one we tried was monthly mystery snack surprises from Taiwan, which the mystery and the surprise is redundant, but that's what it is. Monthly mystery snack surprises from Taiwan. So there's a bit of excitement, there's uncertainty, and it's connecting to a brand. But that's what unique selling proposition is. Now we're moving away from the business side. We are moving much more higher level with the unique selling proposition, positioning statement. Well, let's talk about mission statement. A mission statement is something you give to the world about what you're trying to accomplish. In the age of internet, every company has a weird, generic, badly thought through mission statement. It was so popular, you can actually find mission statement generator online that will randomly give you basically 50 buzzwords strung together by a few verb and then conjunction. But a mission statement is also very important to you because you want to clearly communicate your value. The three things we look for is clarity, focus, and value in the mission statement. Let's look at some of the famous mission statement of companies, fairly well-known brand, to see if you can understand them. The first one, we create happiness by providing the finest entertainment for people of all ages everywhere. This is the mission statement for Disney. It's very clear. Their goal is to create happiness, and they do so by providing the entertainment for everybody. So they are a family-oriented entertainment service, which if you think about the Disney movies, Toy Stories, where they have Finding Nemo, which is a family-oriented experience. Disneyland, for whatever artificiality it is a place where the family can go, and children enjoy the ride, and adults enjoy the children having fun. Everywhere, simply an ambition. Disney World, Disneyland, the Disneyland in France, Hong Kong, Japan. So this is something about clarity. They are very clear on what they do. Another one. These are two very similar concepts, but their execution is completely different. The first one, we help you discover and share great websites. So it's discovery. It's the mission statement for Stumbled Upon. The other one is to build a place where people can come to find and discover anything they might want to buy online. This is a very ambitious mission statement, and it's the mission statement of Amazon. They're both about discovery. They're both about an online platform, but they cannot be any more different. One is a sharing website. The other one is a mega complex online platform for sales. Third, this is something I want you to focus on. Who is your audience? This mission statement really struck me. The mission statement is, we sell high quality food and beverage products. Our success will be ensured. Customer will build their business, employee build their future, and shareholder build their wealth. Notice there's no consumer. This is the mission statement of Pepsi. We sell high quality food and beverage product. High quality but not healthy, and there's no user, there's no consumer in this scenario. So Pepsi is focused on their shareholder, their employee, and their customer, who are business people. So Pepsi understands who their customer really is. It's not the consumer, it's not the end user, the people who drink Pepsi, but the business that sells Pepsi. So that's a really strong indication where their focus is. Even though when we think of Pepsi, we think of a food and beverage conglomerate, but it's actually a business to business. Interesting, isn't it? Okay. Different positioning. This is two mission statements that's very, very similar. Our brand mission is to be our customers' favorite place and way to eat and drink. First one. Second one, offering reasonably priced quality food served quickly in an attractive, clean environment. The first mission is to be a favorite place of a customer. The second place is just to be fast, reasonably priced. First one is McDonald's. Second one is Burger King. When you think of a playground, you think of McDonald's, and that's their strategy and that's their vision. Burger King is more about quality food. So when you imagine a family going out for hamburger, which restaurant do you imagine them in? This is the power of positioning. The positioning takes a place in the consumer's mind. So how you position yourself through your mission statement is power. So we must spend actually part of the hands-on workshop time on this. But this is how you're going to communicate your value quickly and avoid buzzword. You want to be clear, precise, and specific. And finally, exemplify your value as you understand them. 2018 before. Now we are revisiting the subject. I hope you have realized that a business plan is a blueprint for an enterprise. You need an architect, you also need an engineer, you need a foreman, you need a builder. Let's look honestly at your team. Where is the gap? In most teams, we have 3 or 4 different types of role. First one is a domain knowledge expert. Who on your team understand this problem? And by this problem is not just the problem space. Trying to tackle counterfeit drug in US and trying to tackle counterfeit drug in Indonesia are 2 very different things. Because most of the counterfeit drug in the US are illegal drug, LSD, ecstasy, cocaine. Whereas most of the drug you're trying to tackle in Indonesia are Viagra, painkiller, heart attack pills, diabetes treatment. So you need to understand how much do you need to know. Do you need to know about the problem and do you need to know about the culture? So where is the gap on your team? Who do you need to acquire? So domain knowledge expert, execution people, people who can get things done, technology people if you need the technology, or if technology is critical to your product. If you're going to design a better search engine than Google, it behooves you to have a computer scientist on your team. This is not a talent you can hire. But if you're just building a website to do commerce, you don't need to have a technology expert on your team. These are easily hireable skills. Okay, and the 3 things we want to look for: domain knowledge expert, the execution, the production people. Some people also want to have a designer. This is if design is a huge success factor for your product. Honestly, most product will not live or die on design. One of the famous saying is, if your product is perfect, if you ship a beautiful product, you launch too late. At the current stage, you're looking to find out what the customer, remember the internet forum software? Their first product had a single text box. That's ugly, but beauty is not what you're after right now. You're after functionality, okay? So look at the gap you have. Next step is, how do we go about filling the gap with the right person? Can you get them as a co-founder? I know this is difficult because people have ownership of ideas they have. As somebody who's been through startup quite a few times, I'd like to share this thought with you. Ideas don't have owners. Ideas have champions. And champion is the one that promote the idea. So you have a gap, you need the right people to fill the gap. Do you recruit them as a co-founder, as an employee, or as a mentor / advisor? Part of your success on this business plan is creating a credible team. And this is the challenge I wish you take seriously. Good luck.